Hello, this is Mish. Welcome to a video on Emerald City. So this is a new TV show by NBC. This is my initial thoughts on the premiere with a quick overview and some predictions for the rest of the season. This will contain spoilers. So my initial thoughts. I found this to be an interesting spin on the old Wizard of Oz story. I was impressed by how dark it became in some scenes. It has a lot of interesting sets and some scenes that really portray a vision of grandeur and amazement. The CG was pretty good as well. Some good acting in some parts. I thought there was some questionable acting in here and there as well, but for the most part it was pretty good. I do think fans of the previous movies and novels will either be really interested in this or perhaps find it an abomination of their childhood movies and memories. And I completely understand that. But I can appreciate this for a retelling with concentrations on other areas of the story which we've not really touched on before. And I think it's far enough away from the original to keep me interested as well. The storyline has great potential and a lot of mystery as well. But in saying that, I feel it could also perhaps fall flat on its face if the momentum doesn't keep on a good pace. So let's cross our fingers for the next couple of episodes. Okay, so now let's move on to the story so far. So we find out Dorothy has been abandoned by her mother. She's been left with the Gale family in a town called Lucas in Kansas. So 20 years later, her occupation is a nurse. Her mother, who abandoned her, has returned and is trying to make contact. So Dorothy finally plucks up the courage to meet with her mother. But, of course, Dorothy tries to do this whilst there is a weather warning. So she goes to the caravan which her mother calls home. She strangely finds a dead cop in the caravan and her mother also in trouble in a kind of a bunker for hiding from the tornado. So what also adds a strangeness to the situation, her mum advises her no police, it's not safe, and run. Unfortunately, Dorothy ends up running straight into the tornado. But she manages to jump in the police car. When she lands in Oz, she runs over the Witch of the East. Also, she has the policeman's dog in the car, who was trapped from the start. We later find out the local dialect for the word dog is Toto, therefore Toto is born. So Dorothy is in a bit of shock, kind of wandering aimlessly in the woods. She is then found by a bunch of munchkins, and she is led to a tribe by the munchkins, that we find out was actually mourning the loss of the witch, which she ran over. So not a good predicament to be in. They then proceed to torture her for information. Eventually they decide to let her go, and she's strangely forgiving about that situation after that as well. So she is escorted out of the forest and starts following the yellow brick road, which isn't actually yellow brick, it's actually a yellow opium road, which is an interesting spin on the original. So she finds a man crucified at the side of the road, who she names Lucas as he has no memory. So that's our modern day straw man. The Witch of the East actually returns as she didn't die when she was hit by the police car, and she captures Dorothy and Lucas. Dorothy tricks her into killing herself with a pistol she brought along. So then we see Dorothy and Lucas traverse the yellow brick road and run into another witch who's captured a boy. We see that witch tries to kill Lucas with poison as he has a sword which possibly portrays him as a wizard guard. And after that, Dorothy frees the boy and a fight ensues when we see Lucas's true nature come out, which seems to confirm he probably is a wizard guard. So he stabs the witch, then continues to smash her skull in. Funny enough, she didn't actually kill her. So that is it for now with those two main characters and their story arc. But we see the boy whom was captured by the witch. His name was Tip, and he actually turns into a girl. Could that somehow be a Hansel and Gretel reference with those two characters? Seems a bit similar to that story. Obviously it was not a gingerbread house, but anyway. As I'm just not sure how those two are going to fit into the story going forward. So now let's talk about Oz and the witches. So 20 years ago, which is when Dorothy was abandoned, coincidence? I think not. So we hear that the Beast forever was destroying the cities, and magic couldn't stop it. But the Wizard of Oz, with his giant soldiers, could stop it. So he was the hero, and he banished magic. He allowed the witches to remain, but he kind of locked them down and said no more. Now we return to modern time, when Dorothy's actually fallen through the tornado. So we see that the wizard's drones, he has drones, which is pretty awesome, spots the cop car falling out of the tornado which causes a ripple effect of action, as that seems to be a foretelling of the beast forever returning. So he sends some elite soldiers off to kill whomever has fallen out of the tornado. We also see that after Dorothy kills the Witch of the East with a pistol, that the Wizard of Oz allows the other witches to give her a funeral ceremony. But it seems that that's a bit of trickery, and it's allowing those witches to gain the Witches of the East's abilities and spells. There's many more points, but this is just a bit of a quick summary as to where we're at now. Okay, so let's move on to the theories section. So after watching the episode, I returned to the trailer, which has many story points and plot confirmations. So we will see the witches will betray Oz, as I guess there's a heavy suggestion of that in this episode. And we will see a war between magic and I guess science. So we'll see Dorothy captured and interrogated by the witches. We'll see Dorothy kind of possibly gain abilities. We know she has the witch's gloves, and she's obviously quite special. Okay, so now let's talk about actually some theories of what I'm going to predict that I haven't got confirmation on. So what side will Dorothy be on? Now this is really tricky, because historically we've always seen her be against the witches, apart from one of them which was generally good. So in this situation, both the witches and the wizard seem to be quite evil. It's quite hard to say at this point, but if anyone, I think she'll probably be on the side of the Witch of the North. But it's hard to pinpoint what's going to go on, especially if there's another factor involved with the Beast of Forever. Okay, so now let's talk about the characters. So Lucas is the straw man. He doesn't have a brain, so he's got no memory. So who is the lion? Now there is a lion in the trailer, but it's not so much a human lion hybrid. It's a man, seems to be a man with a lion helm or a lion helmet. But what's interesting about that picture is that he seems to be in support of the Wizard Guard, which makes me think it's probably Eamon, who was sent to kill Dorothy by the Wizard of Oz at the start. So he's the hunter tracker. So it's, if out of all the characters that we've been showed so far, he's probably the most likely for me. So who's the Tin Man? As obviously he didn't have a heart, so who could that possibly be? Once again, the trailer shows us a kind of a human robot kind of Tin Man with a construct for a heart, so maybe there's another character coming that is under the control of the Wizard of Oz. Who is that character without the heart? Okay, so that's my thoughts so far. I hope you enjoyed it. This show really depends on how I find the next few episodes, if I'll continue to cover it. But please let me know your thoughts on the show, and if you want me to continue to cover it. Please leave me some feedback below. Thumbs up if you liked it. Also, I have set up a Twitter account for Meshflix now, so if you want to jump on there and follow me, and I'll pinpoint some things that interest me every now and again, and also I'll try to highlight when I release videos on there as well. So I'll put the link to that in the description. And until next time, this is Mesh, take care, and I'll see you later.